a short information about yourself?
Totally. This is a great pleasure for me to be here. So my name is Alex. I have engineering background. My both parents are professors of mechanical engineering. My father is from Andijan, and my mother used to design rockets for Soviet Union. So since Soviet fell apart, the goal for me was to get to the United States, preferably to get PhD as well. So that's why I did a lot of competitive programming, got top 3 in the world in competitive programming by the age of 20. And then I made a tough decision to not pursue career in science and really focus on startups. So sold my previous company to Snap for 166 million. We built best-in-class technology to run neural nets on mobile phones. And since then, for 4 years, I was running generative AI for Snapchat. After that, I decided to really lead this new technology wave with world models applied specifically for social media marketing domain, and started Hicksfield. We raised our seed rounds of 16 million back in April last year, and this year we raised our A and achieved unicorn status.
Great. Congratulations on that one more time. Although we know you more about your experience at Hicksfield and then Hicksfield becoming unicorn, but today we're going to be talking about more about the big picture, not only Hicksfield, because I know that people might be coming to you and then asking questions about how did you become unicorn and stuff like that. But for us, it's more about your entire experience, all the way from your maybe high school, if it's relevant to talk about, and then your experience at college, and then later on at Snapchat, as you said. Because to be a unicorn founder, you should have a very decent background. So that, let's start your school time, for example. Your dad is from Andijan, you said, right?
Yes.
So that means, did you go to school in Uzbekistan or?
No. So obviously my parents, since I remember myself pretty much, maybe since I was 8 years old, they tried to push really hard for me to get to the United States, and really the way which we found was to participate in these programming competitions. So they moved to Chelyabinsk. We lived quite close by to school number 31. It's maybe like number 3 or number 4 high school in Russia. Every year they have a few people who participate in international Olympiads in programming, math, and physics, typically taking silver or gold medals. And yeah, the goal for me was to pursue this path and get to the United States, preferably for bachelor. I didn't think this is the right idea, and I thought that I can get a bachelor degree maybe in Russia and then move to the United States, and then but then I decided to do startups instead of pursuing academic career.
Okay, that's great. And which college did you go to for your bachelor's? Because we couldn't find any information on your LinkedIn, so.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I went to MIPT, so Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology. Back then it was considered to be a top school in Russia. Many successful entrepreneurs like Radmir Timashev or Nikolai Staronsky or David Yan graduated from MIPT. So I hope that I inherited some of this entrepreneurial spirits.
Great. So it's so funny to say that there's something that also connects me with MIPT, like FISTEF, because one of my physics and math teachers, he went to MIPT, and I'm also kind of inherit something from MIPT because of my like physics and math background. So it's a great school, by the way. It's a great school.
Yes, I definitely agree with you. The interesting part, though, is that the technology moves so quickly, and the challenge with MIPT and many other schools in post-USSR regions, which I know of, is that there is not much, there are just really a few research labs, and not many, and maybe zero research labs in AI. I mean, in MIPT, there was maybe one research lab called Deep Pavlov, but overall, the number of research labs in, let's say, MIPT is drastically lower compared to Berkeley, Stanford's, even UCLA. So that's essentially undergrad students cannot get like a sense of like what's the state of the art in the world. There is like literally no. It's very difficult to get access to the top computer scientists when you, let's say, study in MIPT. And when I moved here, it comes to me in a stark contrast that at Stanford, undergrad students have so much opportunity to really explore various directions and connect with top professors.
Yeah, great. So before we jump into your master's experience, let's get one insight from your bachelor's experience and say that because there are so many listeners here, they're studying, really focus on your education and then try to be an A+ student so that build something later on when you have like hands-on experience in the future.
Yeah, I think my path is definitely not optimal, and I believe if many things could be done way better. So I was focused on competitive programming in when I was getting my bachelor degree. I was focused on competitive programming like ACM, ICPC, and so on. And I can tell you that my takeaway is probably to focus on academics and these programming competitions in year number 1 and year number 2. And I think in year number 3 and year number 4, it is critically important to try many various things, many various directions, and see what resonates the best. I think this is the best time to try new stuff. Because once you graduate, I mean, at least once I graduated, I had the pressure to like earn money, to kind of make for the living, right? And when you're like but when we are like 18 or 19 and you're getting your bachelor degree, you can really explore stuff. So so going back to my experience, I think things which I would consider doing differently. I think first I was stupid enough maybe to refuse some internships in companies like Facebook. I don't recommend anyone to work for like these big companies. I think this is a waste of time. But in the meantime, it's a completely different culture, right? And it's sort of, I think it's worth spending one summer really learning about like other countries, about other cultures, about different ways of like shipping products to hundreds of millions of users. So I think I was stupid enough to really refuse the internship at Meta when I was 18. I think that would be a good idea. Another thing which I would do differently, I definitely would love to spend at least like 3 months at some research lab, really trying to do theoretical science. Again, just for the sake of getting like more diverse experience. And also, I think that there is a lot of value in just trying to build some project, like kind of as a solopreneur, not for the sake of like making money out of that, but really getting a hands on what are the marketing trends, what are the most effective tools to ship products, and so on. And I think I did. And out of these 3 things, I got 0 in when I was getting my bachelor degree. So I think these things could be done way better, and I think I could get more diverse experience. Another maybe very interesting another thing which really comes to another thing which I think is very important is also skills of self-presentation. unfortunately, like sort of the Soviet type of like educational system doesn't really encourage to improve self-presentation skills. I mean, in English, they call it bullshit your way out of any trouble.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very valuable skill if someone want to be an
Mhm.
entrepreneur. So getting skills. So I think getting experience in maybe public debates or startup competitions could be quite important as well. I think this does not require a lot of time. I think this is just maybe 3-4 months of focused work. But then when you're young, it's way easier to kind of transform your inner system, your self-perception, compared to the
Mhm.
time when you're, let's say, 28 years old. That's why I say that it's quite important to, when you're like young, like under 20, it's important to try various experience, push yourself to explore different things, push yourself to be in uncomfortable situations, as the pace of learning when you're under 20 is just very high, very, very high.
Yeah. So I agree with this point because I also try like different stuff so far, although I'm just 22. I had an experience even working as a math, English, and physics teacher back in South Korea as well. And now working as a startup mentor. And then people look at me and they say, hey, what is your job actually? So what do you do? Because you've done so many various stuff which are not connected to each other. So that, yeah, you're right. People should be trying different things because we never know which field and which experience is going to be something right for us. Cool. And moving towards your master's experience, and so why did you go for UC Berkeley option, although people start thinking about Stanford Graduate School or like MIT Sloan Management School, right? Or like, let's say Wharton. Why exactly UC Berkeley?
Yeah, so I got my bachelor degree from MIT as well, but I would say it wasn't. I mean, like I need to acknowledge that I think it was not that demanding as bachelor, so I wouldn't really count this seriously. So the reason I think Berkeley has, okay, so um, I when I went to Berkeley, I tried to achieve several goals, although I didn't achieve them. The part which still comes, the part which I'm still trying to understand is like a lot of data infra companies were born out of Berkeley. Ray
Mhm.
Anyscale is a very popular one, but Databricks is an obvious home run. Also, I think Apache Spark was born there and some other Apache products. So I think they just have this unique concentration of talents in like ETL data lake space, which is truly exciting.
All right, that's good. I think so we can wrap up your educational background here and then we can start talking about your outstanding exit for $166 million. So tell us about that. That's very interesting, honestly.
I think this was look. I think my startup experience is not. In Russian, it's called Slaboumi и отвага. In English, I would just say that I never had like really good mentors. So
Mhm.
I made a lot of mistakes myself. Again, very inefficient. So I think this is what makes, and I think this is, by the way, the key reason why American entrepreneurs, like, okay, people who studied in America are typically way more successful entrepreneurs in America compared to immigrants. And the reason is
Mhm.
simple, is that uh, like immigrants like myself who never really studied in the United States, when I mean really study is like when you get a bachelor's degree. Um, so people like myself who got like just some basic business education here, they don't really have any like strong network to get to someone who can be your mentor. So I think the network itself is obviously important. Although what is even more important is to have 3, 5 very close, very warm connections. Like think about college friends who can put you in touch with maybe 20, 30, 50 more people who can help you in your life. So I think, so my experience is that like the real progress can be made through these well-established connections. And you can make those well-established connections when you work with someone. This is the best, but also it can be done through college. So what I notice is that MIT has its own mafia, and so when someone starts a company from MIT, they have a lot of people, like 10, 15, 20, who can provide them a great advice. I had to learn everything myself. That's why I think my career is not like, that's why I think I don't have like unicorn exit yet, right? Because a person like, if I were at the MIT, I think the probability would be just way higher, because I think I just have to hustle, have to like work 15, 16 hours a day, really pushing the limits to maybe get to the same results which well-connected people can achieve within like 50, 60 hours. So like working just 50, 60 hours a week.
All right, yeah, you're right. So the idea of like connections or like network, it plays like quite a big role, especially in startup ecosystem. That was one of the reasons why we established Startup Garage, and following that, we established SG Founders Community. I mean, the meeting was supposed to be there, and we have over 3,000 like organic founders. Like that means like everybody there, they are interested in startups, and they could be like pushing each other in the next few years in the future. Cool. Okay, so your exit happened before your experience at Snapchat, or while you were at Snapchat, or when did it happen actually?
Yeah, Snapchat acquired us in December 2019 for reportedly $166 million. I mean, in fact, this number went up because the stock price went up, and part of the consideration, part of the deal was done in stock. So it was all very, very, all in all, it was a very good deal. I'm very grateful for Mahi da Silva, who helped us to orchestrate the deal. Now Mahi joined Hicksfield, so now we do way less random actions since Mahi brings the experience to the table. But again, like Mahi joined the team because we already kind of worked in the past on my previous company. So and I think I just really want to emphasize the importance of like building these strong relationships and maintaining them. Maybe I have maybe from my time, so from my previous company, I think I have maybe 3 strong connections, maybe 4 from this company, from like my times at Snap. By the way, I think it is maybe like 7 or 8 people who can help me, but this is like my all social capital, which I obtained over 10 years of my career. And maybe 2 or 3 people from Yandex, like from when I was back in Russia. So I mean, maybe it's total around like, maybe it's slightly less than 20 people. I'm just saying that it's like very, very introvert, and I'm like introvert. That's what I'm, an introvert. So it's I'm just telling that I wish the participants of this meeting, people who listen to that, they can be more ambitious and like try, and I encourage them to build way stronger network than I have. For example, my network is not very strong because I'm an introvert.
Cool. All right. So exit happened, and now you have cash, and now you start thinking about certain plans. And I see that your angel investment portfolio, you invested into Anthropic, I think, and AngelList, co-founded by Naval Ravikant and a few other like startups. What kind of mistakes you would not recommend people who have done like recent exits, so that they're going to be spending their money like wisely after the exit?
Yeah, for sure. Never buy, like, I think never like buy a house when you move to a new city. That's the first thing. We bought a house in LA, and then we decided to move out because LA is like, I'd say, it's not a good place for introverts for sure. I just guarantee you. It's a place where you're supposed to make connections with like superstars, like NBA players, attend the parties, attend Hollywood parties, drink a ton, also do some illegal stuff. I mean, what's popular there. So and that's just not a good place for technologists to be, right? And I think so people who just move and like decide to buy a house or invest in real estate without like establishing their permanent residence, I think that's sort of one of the mistakes, right? In terms of my angel investing, I wouldn't say I'm really proud. Good angel investors are supposed to identify companies at pre-seed and seed. All my successful investors are actually early growth stage. I mean, like, look, when you see an Anthropic at like $2 billion valuation and they have Claude model and they have nice website and everything, it's like no brainer to invest. Scale AI at $1 billion valuation I'm fortunate to meet Alexander Wenk in person several times. It's a no brainer. It's like Alexander Wenk is like fucking sales machine. He sells to government, like he's under 30. He's like son of immigrants, who moved to the United States, and he sells to government. It's being like just MIT grad without like any like special connection. So he's just force of nature. So it was an obvious decision to invest, and I think there is like 15 or whatever x, or maybe 30x from these investments. So this was good. This was definitely a good investment, but I wouldn't take much credit of that. It was all my success in angel investing is all early growth, where the multiples are in the range from maybe 10 to 100. But I cannot say I'm proud that I found that I invested in some company before everyone knew them and they became a unicorn. Unfortunately, I don't have these stories. I don't have many successful investors in pre-seed and seed stage, and typically angel investors, and they can make decent returns by investing in pre-seed and seed. This is the common rule for angel investors to be focused on pre-seed and seed, but unfortunately, it didn't work for me.
All right. Actually, that's a very classical way, and I think you were like super, how to say, you played like smart because you see that where Anthropic is going, where their like cloud models are going, so that okay, here's some money, let's put in. It's similar things are happening with NVIDIA and some other like compute power providers, and I would say the same thing with Scale AI. But what would you say about like GPT-0, which is a platform that has many replicates around the world? Like, why did you invest in it? Like, or did you wanted to say that, like, or like prove to yourself, okay, Anthropic was a safe investment. I'm gonna take a risk and then go for something like a bit riskier.
Yeah. So look, I just think I think Anthropic is a very unique company. It is still operated by researchers, but they combined research and business. It's very different for OpenAI. Sam Altman is not a researcher. He's the best fundraiser, like top 3 fundraiser of our generation. Like he and Elon Musk are like people like them just maybe never existed before. It's like I think it's something truly unique. But when you look at Anthropic, they just built a very strong research team, and they created a compounding effect. Like researchers don't leave from Anthropic generally. From OpenAI, it's like in and out, like it's like a train, in and out. It just moves very quickly, but people get in and out all the time. Anthropic is way more stable, and they got great business people there as well. So that's why I think that I should have invested way more in Anthropic. The reason why I haven't put more money, because I think I was not sure if their revenue numbers are sort of legit or a little bit like engineered. But I think now we all understand that it's very legit, and obviously I wish I could put more money. I should have put more money there. So then going back to GPT-0 and Solve Intelligence, GPT-0 and Solve Intelligence are clearly clearly the most successful investments, which is like seed or pre-seed level. Both these investors were purely driven by the traction. Because I was tracking founders for maybe 2-3 weeks, and I saw that they could kind of sell to major enterprises without having a product. I wouldn't say without having a product, without having an enterprise product. So they had some products, which is clearly not enterprise level, and they could sell it. And I'm like, wow. When a young founder without much enterprise experience can do that, then, I mean, I can see they can move the mountains, and I just cannot miss the opportunity. Like, I
Great.
mean, they're just, I mean, they both are just forces of nature as well. I think that's something. When you just meet these people, you understand you want to be just friends with them because they have something special which I don't have, for example.
All right. So let's go ahead and try to open that magical box, the topic, the very demanding topic. Let's talk about Hicksfield. Why did you go for and like found yet another startup? You already had an exit. You had a very good job, I believe, at Snapchat, right? So what actually motivated you? I know that like you said that I was part of like MIT Mafia and then people were building billions of dollars of companies. So that really pushed you forward. But what else actually
Yeah.
motivated you to go and
So
build?
I was close to my MIT Mafia. I wasn't part of that, unfortunately, right? That's
Okay,
why I
okay.
felt that I'm missing the opportunity, and other people have they just learn and move way faster in life than I do. So that's interesting. I'm like, kind of circle number two in terms of like MIT Mafia. I'm like circle number two, layer number two, or layer number three. So not really connected to like. So I'm like connected to the most successful founders coming from MIT Mafia, but not like the core. And I was always feeling like I'm like just not moving. I'm just not learning fast enough. And also, I think another reason is that in Snap, the stock is obviously going down. It's like 10 times down from its peak. And it's very difficult for Snapchat to meaningfully invest in generative AI. That's my own opinion. So that's and since I spent most my life, like again, like last 10 years working on generative AI for video, I realized that probably the best way to move forward is to leave Snap and explore opportunities outside. I didn't find any company which has a decent strategy in video AI, so I decided to found my own company.
All right.
But the interesting part
Cool.
is I interviewed with all of them. I not like interviewed, but obviously they reached out to me, startups, Meta, everyone. I chatted with all of them. I felt like they don't understand what they're doing. I know they sound arrogant, but that's really truth. I don't pretend I'm like the smartest in the room. I just came, I spoke to everyone. I wasn't satisfied with their vision, strategy, tactical plan, and I thought, oh, maybe I can try to do this again with Hicksfield.
All right, cool. So you saw the problem that all those big techs didn't have very cool video generation model, and then you wanted to build your own. And now you are in search of your co-founders, right? And why exactly Yerjan outstanded among all others? Why did you offer him a position of being your co-founder and CTO?
Um, so I was looking for people with experience in training those models and also with reinforcement learning. I think there are maybe like 7 people in the world who have such experience and whom I can sort of get to. And I think many of these people they're just pure researchers. I mean, like, look, pure researchers in the valley, they can easily make. Okay, let me just throw some numbers at you. Like just a good AI, like a good director of engineering or AI architect can get paid $2-3 million a year before tax, and tax in California is like 50%. So, but we talk $2-3 million a year, and there are many companies which offer that, including Snap, including others. Then companies like Meta and OpenAI, they can pay maybe like what were the numbers, like 10-15 million a year to like non-top guys. And I'm not a top guy, but like think about decent guy but not like a top guy, right? But I wanted to co-found the company with someone who is like top like 10 in the space basically, or like top 15 in the space. It's not easy. And I mean, those people, they can be paid this, like 50-100 million dollar a year, just whatever, like the number, there is no limit for that. And I can tell you that most of the researchers whom I met, they say, fuck it, I take the bag. Who knows what's gonna happen? But $100 million on bank accounts never hurt. That's just really the way how they think, and they say, oh, I can retire and do mountain biking in Montana after that. That's gonna be fine, right? And I can do the research on my own, then remotely in like some lab. So that's definitely the path which many researchers want to pursue. I mean, like there are a few, like I would say, like I have a lot of admiration towards Liam Fedus, who was VP of research at OpenAI, and he started his next company. I think I'm just telling you, it's just not an easy decision for top researchers to go into like this wilderness of startup worlds and start their own company. And I think Yerzad combines great research experience alongside with great engineering experience. And apparently he is also a very, very, very good in marketing, but I didn't know that. So when we really started, I just saw that he doesn't want to do just research. He want to build a successful company.
All right, cool. I see that you have to leave in 7 minutes, so I'm going to wrap up this meeting with a couple of questions. The first one is going to be about generative AI, and what you guys are doing is basically Gen AI. You're building video generation models. From my experience and from my talks with some experts, I know that Gen AI is actually still a research area. That means there is a lot more to explore, to learn, as compared to some, like, let's say, computer vision field. Because computer vision models and products, they are actually up and running, and then they can be used at production without any, how to say, worry. But text generation models, they hallucinate. Video generation models, they do hallucinate. They have certain problems. Why did you go for Gen AI, and especially for this like video field?
Yeah, look, this is a good question. I just do video AI for the whole my career. So I think that just felt like I know the space, I know the issues, I know the application space. So it just felt very natural because it's passion of my life. Then and it go. I mean, the reason why, I mean, it's very deep. I think when you're that's very deep, because when I was doing my previous company, we had like 1 million ARR, we were raising like 2 million and $10 million, like this type of crazy stuff. Now AI company with 1 million ARR is gonna raise, I don't know, like at 60 million valuation. But back then it wasn't easy to raise at like 10 million valuation with 1 million ARR being AI company. And also when you come from, let's say, the region with like this rolling R, and also with like with accents without many connections, it's definitely very difficult. Definitely social media democratized like access to attention, and it feels like generative AI is just another accelerant for people throughout the world to be heard, as I can personally sympathize a lot with the problem when let's say you are, and like when I'm like a nobody, how to make sure I can be heard, let's say I can get investment and so on. So I think they just like this, my entrepreneurial struggles and like my path resonates with, and there is some analogy to like what's happening in social media, where social media becomes this sort of social elevator, the same way as technology became a social elevator for myself.
Okay, cool. All right, so then you can just conclude it, and then what can you say about like this AI gold rush, venture capitalism, and what should we be doing in Central Asia basically to be at least going to the next level as quickly as possible? So your final thoughts.
Yeah, look, I think for few thoughts. So when we look in Central Asia, there are two things. First, there are extremely talented people. And second, there is absolutely zero experience in how to build B2B SaaS companies. Absolutely zero experience. The good thing about AI is that talent beats expertise right now. So most of the most successful companies are all sort of like B2C, sort of. You don't need to have enterprise experience to build a successful technology company today. That's why it is the best time now to build companies, especially for people in the region. Because I mean, you look like, let's say, at HR tech. It's like the same people creating the same HR software who have all the connections and like really applying enterprise sales playbook. Like Rippling, Gusto, and so on. And I think that's why it was very difficult for people from Central Asia for entrepreneurs from Central Asia to break in the space. I think the same applies, and I think now the rules of the game are being rewritten. But B2C SaaS products can be built by anyone in the world. The distribution from Reddit, Hacker News, Twitter can be unlocked by anyone in the world as well.
Yeah.
And I think this is just a great opportunity to be building.
All right. Yeah, you're right. B2C is like a headache to some extent, because to go and collect like $5 from 10,000 people and then finally hitting like 50,000 MRR is a headache. So cool. We're not going to hold you for too long. Thank you so much for allocating some time. So have a great day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.